and being able to drive predictive operations there as well, which means that you're going to be looking at historical demand forecasting, moving from historical demand forecasting to a dynamic demand forecasting. From a demand pricing, you're going to be looking at context-based dynamic pricing. Similarly on this, the idea is basically how do you use data, intelligence, process automation, and to be able to drive real-time engagements there, which will, in effect, be able to drive dynamic revenue management and dynamic route and other aspects of the operations there. These are some of the cases that we have that airlines have already used in terms of intelligent turnaround optimization, intelligent maintenance, baggage tracking, and ramp handling, which have really made them count in terms of business outcomes. And the final aspect of it is basically around the sustainable operations. As I said, it's not about green IT. It's more about how do you cater to the agility and adaptability of an organization towards your infrastructure. So today, if I look at the environment, there's high vulnerability. There are lots of ransomware and other security related attacks which are happening on airlines, which is a point of concern. With more and more connectivity, with more and more integration into technology, this is only going to be higher. What we're also seeing is a lot of legacy infrastructure today still remains, which probably needs to be rethinked of because you don't have enough money to be able to drive newer technology in the new architecture to be able to drive adaptability there. And finally, the competition, which is also at your neck, which is saying that Booking.com today releases every day a new product or a new release. That's the kind of competition that we're seeing. So, and that is quick time. So you're saying one day for a time to market for a product. If you're going to be starting to look at introducing new products every day, or maybe new bundles, that means you're going to be driving that level of agility within the organization as well. And then this comes with high volatility as well, which is basically the cost of disruption that we're going to be looking at. At the end of it, we want to drive the agility, scalability, modularity, and security, which is driven by various aspects around microservices, API, cloud-first architecture, and security by design. In effect, it's not about technology. We've got to be also looking at how do we look at change management as an important aspect for organizations. It's also about fail-fast culture that you need to imbibe in the organization to be able to introduce new things, new way of working there. So with that, I'll just rest my presentation. I'm sorry I'm a little late in terms of the presentation, but I'll just hand it over to now the panel. Yeah, so we have roughly around 25 minutes to go, so I'll try to be quick, sorry. Okay, so let me just first of all introduce our panel, starting off with Anand Srinivasan. A little brief about Anand. Anand Srinivasan is the co-founder and chief information officer of CASA Air. Anand carries around 25 years of experience in global consulting experience, spanning multiple domains, primarily in areas around aviation, data science, analytics, and IT. He has a rich experience working in commercial teams on various airlines across the globe. He's worked as Vice President of Revenue Management in Go Air, CEO of D Square Solutions in his previous assignments, and Senior Manager as Analytics in Dell. And his educational background is MS in Industrial Engineering and Operations Research from Purdue University, BTech in Chemical Engineering. Anand, why don't you please come down? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have Avinash Agarwal. He's currently account director of airline business, MEDS. He has over 18 years of experience in working in travel and hospitality sector, delivering services and solutions to the customers. And he's previously served as business development manager into Globe Technology, assistant manager, product and vendors relations, Calio, distribution technologies, and senior manager, eBookers. His education background is a bachelor's in commerce from Christ University, Bangalore. Avinash, please. And do we have Clayton? Okay, hi Clayton, yeah. So Clayton is general manager for Asia Pacific Fly Labs. He's the platinum partner for us here. Clayton is Fly Labs general manager, over 20 years of experience in travel and technology roles. Clayton has a wealth of knowledge and expertise in the industry, and particularly in Asia Pacific region. Having worked and led airline revenue management and commercial teams, Clayton brings a unique perspective onto the table. With time spent on travel technology and organizations, Sabre and Pros, Clayton has a strong background in the technology behind airline revenue management. Passionate about airline revenue management, Clayton is dedicated to helping companies optimize their revenue and profitable growth. Thank you and welcome to the panel, panelists. Am I audible? Okay, just to be clear. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so I think this discussion is going to be focused more on the digital transformation of airlines and how can they use technology towards that. So let me start with Anand. You are the new kid on the block, if I can say that.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, so there are already biggies in this space around Air India and Indigo to a large extent. And the major problem that these traditional organizations face is the fact that there has a lot of legacy within the infrastructure. And as I said in terms of my presentation, there's a lot of work that someone has to do in terms of realigning or re-architecting that legacy to a new architecture. You don't carry that experience altogether.
Thankfully not.
So from that perspective, how do you see that Akasa Air is redefining specifically air travel from a technology side of it?
So, audible? Yeah. So I don't know if I'm the right person to answer this, right? Because I don't actually know both sides of the equation. I mean, we were digital born. I mean, I look at my kids. Mm-hmm. They can't comprehend a screen that is not touch enabled. Right? I mean, they were born with touch screens. So when I sit down with a laptop, my kid asks me like, why can't you just push your finger and scroll this, and what's this mouse thing you're using? So just like my kid can't understand what it is for a legacy laptop and hence see the value of a touch screen. We started off digital native, and I can't take all the credit, we can't take all the credit, because part of the technology environment when we started in what allowed us to be completely digital native, right? So, so it's not as though that was a conscious choice, right? But we realize how important it is. So we've kind of steered clear away from any kind of quote unquote legacy systems. In fact, for somebody from Akasa to be talking about legacy systems is sacrilegious, simply because we're just too young to even talk about legacy. But the fact remains that what we have is cloud native, digital native, if you want to call it that. So I can talk about the benefits that we get. Now, what is the cost of the transformation is probably somebody you have to talk to in terms of who's lived through both sides of the equation. And I'm happy to help, from our experience in terms of if somebody is going through that painful process, absolutely fine. But there is a certain agility that comes from a digital native, cloud native, born in the cloud, if you want to call it that. To me, that is the biggest value driver, right? It's not about, because it allows us to build products, it allows us to build streamline operations, it allows us to offer certain things to the customers that was probably too cumbersome with a legacy system. And I've seen legacy systems, so if I wanted to offer a certain value prop to the customer, the amount of brainstorming that would go, or a task force that would be set up just to come back and say, hey, this is what we want to achieve. And the investment that would go in was huge. So obviously, it did not allow the kind of agility that a digital cloud native thing gives us. So here we are able to brainstorm an idea, put a team together, spin it up, build a skunkworks kind of a setup, see how it works very, very, very quickly, right? And to me, that's really the value that comes out.
Yep.
The cloud, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, and eventually everybody is going to get there, because even as an airline, a lot of your infrastructure will be driven by your partners. Now, your partners are anyway moving onto the cloud offering for business cases that are well documented, well known. So if you look at it as an airline, there are stuff that you buy from partners and there is stuff that you build in-house. even for a quote-unquote legacy carrier, your partners are eventually moving to the cloud. So if they're not already on it, they're moving there. So eventually that portion of it will happen as a matter of course. What we do in-house, that's something that's our focus, right? Saying, okay, we've got this framework on which we can build a whole bunch of stuff. How do we leverage that agility to deliver new stuff? That's really, to me, the big value prop. Right? And I know if addresses your question, time will tell, but that's what I
think this gives us a perspective. So what you're saying is you're a startup and you act like a startup which is nimble and at the same time very quick in terms of its turnaround for market conditions which is going to fly. And I'm sure technology is going to play an important part in that.
It does. It does. It's not. It plays an important role. It will continue to play an important role. And I hope that we will retain that nimble, agile, startup, hungry culture that we've got in, and we hope that we'll retain that for as long as Akasa flies.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so I'm glad that you mentioned partners. So let me just pose this question to both of you because you come from a product domain as such. So Clayton, maybe I'll start with you. So we've seen that customer experience has been talked about more from a perspective of customers and their relationship in terms of how do employees at the back end be able to enable that experience. So EX is equal to CX is an important aspect. But what I also foresee is that the partner experience is becoming all the more critical, right? So from a perspective of when you're building up your ecosystem as such, you got to be looking at how do you bring in partner products quickly into the market. How are you able to service them and how are you getting the visibility to a partner to be able to perform best so that it can be aligned to your customer experience? So what's your experience around that, Clayton?
Sure. I think at a fundamental level, Fly Labs, we see ourselves as an enabler to that business scenario, right? So in terms of configurability, we give all of that to the airline, all of the power to the airline. And I think that enables that speed to market. Anytime there's customer experience involved, it moves very fast. You have to be able to move just as fast. And as you said, bringing those products online quickly, we're big believers in failing fast. I think I saw that on your presentation as well. Doing experimentation, seeing what's working in the market and being able to quickly adjust. There's a technical component too, of course. So API connectivity, I think that goes without saying. So to be a good partner to those partners in that ecosystem, you need to be able to have seamless connectivity and make it easy. So we really just believe that we're an enabler to that business scenario, give the configuration and the power to the airline to be able to make fast changes, experiment quickly, do A/B testing, find out what works quickly, and make changes in the market as necessary.
Okay, thank you. Avinash, your perspective on this, and if in case there's some examples that you could quote that airlines have really made it count when it comes to partner experience?
So interestingly, you mentioned the word legacy, right? When you talk about legacy, primarily what do you look at? That the airline is not in control of everything on its own, right? There's a lot of dependency on